Well, hello there, fellow soul anarchists, brothers, sisters, and everyone in between. Welcome. It's Sunday night. It's 21:12. It's 9:12 p.m. And it is time for that thing that we do every Sunday night. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. For those of you who are OGs, you know how this goes. But let's tell everybody, all our new people, what this is all about. I like the idea of getting together. I like the idea of having clean glasses, and they're not getting clean. Jeez. I love the idea of gathering with like-minded people once a week and around a campfire, as it were, circling the wagons, talking about how it went last week, and swapping some ideas, telling some stories, things like that. Having a good drink. And so, in the spirit of a fireside chat, we get together every Sunday night at 21:12, 9:12 p.m., whatever time zone I'm in. And yes, that's a very nerdy Rush reference because Rush, right there, those guys right there, best band in the whole world. The song 21:12, the album 21:12 is prophetic, and it absolutely foretells a time that we are coming into right now with all this rampant government censorship. It's awful. It's not what we're talking about tonight, but it's one of the reasons I have such a deep, nerdy love for them. Anyway, we have two traditions when we get together on the Sunday night burn. It being a burn, we like to burn something. Ideally, we'd be around a campfire, and maybe one of these days we will. But for now, light something on fire in your place, whether it's a candle or some incense or some other combustible material that makes you feel good. Be good. Anyway, light something up. And it's a BYOB event, so I hope you have something delicious in your hand to drink. Have a little Sauvignon Blanc tonight. So, cheers, friends. All right, a couple of topics to run past you. This is an old topic, but it happens sometimes, and I think it's worth sharing every time it does happen, because I think there's something deep about it. So as many of you may know, I've really, really returned to my musical roots lately and gotten very involved in deep house music, which has been so fun. Like it brings me all kinds of happiness to play with this kind of music and to DJ it and to mix it and to share it with people. I just love it all day long. And I promised myself that this summer I would have a gig every week, whether that be in my own living room or in a club or at a party someplace, that I'd be playing once a week. And it's a mix. It's been a mix of those things. So, which reminds me, I've got to tell you guys about something. Let me put that in my notes. So anyway, this last week was a week where my weekly gig would happen right there, and I was going to do a live stream. And honestly, I didn't feel like doing it. I was not feeling well. I was really tired, really run down, just not up to it. I didn't want to do any of the things that were required to do the live stream. I didn't want to reconfigure my computer setup. I didn't want to set up my equipment. I didn't want to change and get dressed and put on some tights and heels to do my set in, which I always do. It's part of the brand. I got to represent. I didn't want to do any of those things. I didn't want to play music. All I wanted to do, frankly, was go to bed. But I promised myself I would do it. And so I did. I set up my DJ table. I set up the cameras. I set up the audio and video stuff. And got ready and picked out some tracks that I wanted to share and started into it. And honestly, I had a killer set. It was really good. I recorded it. I usually record all of my sets. If nothing else, for me to go back and listen to and critique myself, I always do a post-mortem every time I play, and publicly. I record it, and then I go back and I listen to it at least a couple times to kind of critique my work and learn from it. So I did that, and in some cases, I end up, if it's good enough, I put it out as a DJ set on my YouTube channel. Anyway, so I went back and listened to it the next morning, and I was super happy with it. I'm gonna brag. I think it was really good. A lot of really good moments. I've listened to it several more times, and I'm just super pleased with how it all went. And this was on a day when, again, I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel up to it. I didn't think it was going to work out too well, but I showed up anyway, just because I promised myself I would. And I needed to know for me that I would make good on my own promise. It didn't matter who was listening or who was not listening or any of that. It was only for me, because the reality is, if I didn't do it that night, you'd forgive me. The people that were kind of expecting to see me go live that night, if I would have just put out a little status update, hey guys, not feeling it tonight, see you next week, we'd all still be friends. It would be fine. But I would have known that I didn't make good on my promise to me, and to show up the very best I could. And anyway, so I just did it for me for that reason. And I'm so happy that I did. It was just another reminder. This has happened so many times in my creative career that I can't even count how many times this has happened, where I've had a photo shoot or a radio show or a podcast or a whatever, or a DJ set. And, these are all things I love to do, but just because you love a thing doesn't mean you always want to do the thing, and just showing up anyway. Like on the radio, for instance, there were countless times over those couple of years I was doing radio when I did not want to go on. I didn't want to talk to any humans. I didn't have anything to say. I felt empty. I felt like it just felt like the worst idea in the whole world for me to sit behind a live mic and have my voice be amplified out over a lot of the state. That felt like a very, very bad thing to do in that moment. But they were counting on me. And the mic goes live at 2 minutes and 33 seconds after the top of the hour, after the top of the hour commercials run. It just goes live, and that's it. You have to be there. There's no negotiating that. And in so many of those instances, I had great shows, like really, really excellent shows. And in a lot of instances, when I've done all the preparation, when I know exactly what I'm going to say, I come in with guns blazing. Same thing with the DJing, same things with photo shoots, when I really think I've wrapped my head around the situation and I know exactly how I'm going to do this. In a lot of cases, I'll go in there and I'll do it and I'll be like, hell yeah, I did the thing, and, it's fine. The next day when I go back and reevaluate, it's fine, but not particularly impactful. It's just fine. Expectations are a weird thing. They're a very, very funny thing. They're a very strange mistress. So, and I relate this not only to creative work, but to relationships even. It's one thing to be good to your person when you feel infatuated with them and super attracted to them and super lovey-dovey and all those things. It's one, sure, you do nice things for them. You show up in kind and loving and beautiful, yummy ways for them when you're feeling that way. That's cool, but that's not love. It's not. You're just indulging your mood in the moment. That's all. Love shows up when I'm mad at you. Love shows up when I'm not feeling well. Love shows up when I'm too tired. Love shows up when I'm just not in the mood for it at the moment, but I do anyway. And that's I really, really think that it's so corny. This is like something you'd find on a wooden plaque in a craft store, but love is a verb. It really is, and it's nothing but that. It only is manifest when you'd rather not. Everything else is just Disneyland, you know. And cheers to Disneyland. It's great, super fun stuff. Okay, so yeah, the power of showing up, especially when I don't want to. There's magic in it. All right, my friends. Couple of things I also wanted to tell you about. um, Speaking of DJs, DJ nights, I've got a DJ night coming up. Opening for some. I didn't realize. I guess he's a big deal. I didn't know. I was at a party a couple weeks ago. I was DJing at a party, and a bunch of people were talking about this DJ that's coming to town named Paul Thomas, and they're all excited to go to him. And as it turns out, I'm opening for him, and I didn't really know who he was. The promoter just reached out to me like 2 months ago, actually, and asked me if I would play an opening set for that show. And I said, yeah, sure. Sounds fun. He asked for a deep house set. I'm like, yeah, certainly, I'll come play a deep house set that night. And I didn't really understand who I was opening for, but as it turns out, it's cool, very cool DJ, apparently quite popular, and I'm honored. So I'm going to put links to that show for those of you who are in Salt Lake City and you want to come out. It's at a club called Boomerangs in downtown Salt Lake. It's right there on Main Street, about 2nd South, approximately. So I'll put a link to the show in the description for this video, so you can get your tickets there. Come on out, support. I'll be playing for a while, but not the whole night. So I'll be able to come and hang out and have a drink with you after my set is done. So, and I also have a new t-shirt dropping this week that I'm really excited about. I hope you like it as much as I do. I've been laughing the whole time I've been making it. You'll see why when it comes out. It's one of my finer moments, I think. But that will most likely hit tomorrow. So, yeah, I will just watch my socials. Okay, I'm not going to put a link to the t-shirt yet in the video because it's not out yet. But like I said, tomorrow it will come out. So just watch me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the normal places. You'll see me talking about it. So there's that. And yeah, that's about it for me. So, my friends, hope you have an amazing week. Just remember that, man, we talk about living authentically a lot, and that's been the battle cry for years and years and years. That's what soul anarchy is all about. It has never been more important, and it's never been harder. So, yeah, there's just all kinds of forces out there to make you feel bad for being who you are, thinking how you think. The world is full of voices that want to make you feel like it's an us versus them situation. I don't think that's really true all the time. I think there are a lot more good people out there than we realize. There is a war happening. There is a war of ideas. There is a war of language. It is real, and it must be won. Because this is the realm. The realm of language is how our brains work. I mean, the war. I want you to really consider this. The war of language is a fight for your mental space, for your mental bandwidth, for the way you think. When people can control what words you use or or how you use them, it changes the way you think. It actually changes your cognition. I've seen this firsthand. This is a rather drastic example, but my own dad, short version, he was permanently injured in a motorcycle accident before I was born. His only lasting injury was that he was unable to speak very well. His tongue didn't work, and so he couldn't enunciate words very clearly. And so the only words he could use were simple, small words, and he could use them very slowly, if at all. And it just changed. And my dad was a very intelligent man. He read a lot. He liked to write. He was a scholar of sorts, you could say, and like a self. He was an intellectual man. And as he got older, and his ability to speak degraded as he got older, he eventually got to this point where he couldn't really speak at all because that paralysis just got worse and worse, And I watched it change his mind. I watched it degrade his ability to think. I watched it degrade his intellectual capabilities. Our ability to speak, to say words out of our face and hear them and have them come back at us and interact with the world back and forth with the words we use. It affects the things you think about. It affects the way you think. It is mind control. And it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. So there absolutely is a war for your mind right now. And it's also happening on the front of, on the battlefront of censorship, of this encroaching censorship of just the knowledge that the federal government, the FBI, the CIA, all have the ability to monitor anything and everything that you do and say online. Just that little bit of knowledge in the back of your head, it changes the way you think. It changes what you say, because I promise there are certain sentences I will never speak out loud on YouTube for a bunch of reasons. I mean, even from the most banal things, like if I say the wrong things about the last big the epidemic, or not epidemic, the pandemic that we went through, if I say the wrong sentences about the virus that was just going around, my channel will get taken down. And so I don't say them. There are certain sentences you will never say about our political leaders, because if you do, some nice men in black suits will come knocking at your door with handcuffs and guns, like in pretty short order. So and those are extreme examples, but you understand that, like, we are also policed socially. Like, there are people that you're around, like there's things that you want to say on social media that you don't, because a big fight's going to break out. That a bunch of people are going to call you a this or a that or a whatever, a phobe or a this phobe or a that phobe, and so you just don't do it. You don't say the words, and it has an effect on the way you think. It does, and it's not okay. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, you should get the t-shirt that comes out tomorrow. It's kind of related to this. All right, let's get out of here, you guys and girls and everyone in between. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing week. Do your best to show up in the most authentic way you can. It's a calculated decision at every move. I know. I get it. Just keep your eye on the ball. Just be involved in the conversation. Don't let anything slip by without being really aware. All those choices you make to speak or to not speak, just know that you're making them. That's the first step. All right, my friends, let's get out of here. Love you all. Have a great night. Cheers.